In 1 year, Viktor Gyökeres has turned from a virtual unknown to one of the most sought-after strikers in world football. And not only that, he's being likened to be the next ZLATAN IBRAHIMOVIC. Now, these aren't statements I made up lying in my bed over there. This is what the world is seeing today. And to be fair, it's kind of hard to argue against it. So how did Gyökeres turn from being Brighton's ugly duckling to becoming a potential future great? Well, we have to start all the way in the beginning. And that's over a decade ago in 2013. When Gyökeres was 15 years old, he made the big move from IFK Aspudentellus to Swedish top flight side Brommapojkarna. Now, because he was 15, he had to actually play for the under-17 side at the time. But because he had done so well, he actually broke through into the first team 2 years later at 17 years of age. One of the saving graces, which actually might have kick-started Gyökeres' career even quicker, was the fact that at the time of his debut, Brommapojkarna actually got relegated from the Swedish top division to the second division. Things only got better for Gyökeres because at the age of 20, he made his debut for the Swedish national team against Finland, and only 3 days later scored his first ever goal for the Swedish senior team in the 2-2 draw against Iceland. So an up-and-coming talent were on the books of Brighton. The only issue was, how were they going to feed him into the first team? Now, a lot happened from the time that Gyökeres signed for Brommapojkarna to the time that he actually debuted for the club. They'd been relegated from the top division of Sweden to the second division, and it only got worse from there. Of course, Gyökeres was getting game time now. He hit a brace in a Swedish Cup match at the age of 17 and was being seen more as a trusted first team player. However, Brommapojkarna got relegated again, this time to the third tier of Swedish football. So you can say this was actually a saving grace for Viktor Gyökeres, because the club was in dire need of a hero. Being relegated 2 divisions over the years from the top tier to the third tier, that's not a pretty sight. We've seen those teams in England, it kind of demoralizes fans and players alike. But 2 of the biggest things in football, as we've seen over the years, is timing and opportunity. And Gyökeres had to take this time to take this opportunity. He helps fire Brommapojkarna from the third division, assisted with 9 goals in 25 games. And the next year was even better. Gyökeres scored 13 goals in 29 league matches in the second division of Swedish football, which included a hat-trick on the final day to help his team reach the Swedish top tier after years out. So a real 0 to 100 story here. Playing for a team that was stuck in the third division of Swedish football to then help fire them back right to the top. Gyökeres is now in the Swedish top tier. He's going to play some matches in the league and then get a big move. Actually, that's not what happened. In fact, he actually signed for Brighton a few months before the season actually ended. See, 2017 wasn't just a big year domestically for Viktor Gyökeres. It was a big year internationally too, because in 2017, the UEFA European Under-19 Championships were going to take place. And if you know about these youth competitions, you know they're a hotbed for scouts. I'm talking scouts from all over the ends. Every country pretty much just scoured into one area, just looking at all these young kids play. It sounds kind of wrong still, I know, but it literally is that, just scouts all over the place looking at every player. It's basically a shopping catalog. You're there to show what you can deliver, and basically it's a way to make big money moves. And this tournament was no joke. There were some pretty heavy hitters in this tournament, such as the likes of Mason Mount, Ryan Sessegnon, and even Rafa Leao. But this didn't even faze Gyökeres, because he hit 3 goals in 3 games to share the golden boot for the whole tournament. Now, unfortunately, Sweden finished rock bottom of the entire group. But it didn't really make a difference, because he had actually shown what he was meant to do, and that's score goals. Because shortly after that tournament had concluded, Gyökeres signed a 2.5-year deal with Brighton in the Premier League. So he had gone from playing in Swedish third division football to playing for a Premier League team in 2 years. This is a story of a superstar in the making right here. Okay, now you think it's time for Gyökeres' big break. He signed for a Premier League team, an established Premier League team I should say, signing a good contract with rave reviews. Things could only go up for him. Now, immediately after signing with Brighton, Gyökeres was sent to the under-23 side. And this isn't a surprise. He was only 19 years old, so it's not a knock on him or anybody. It just made a lot of sense. His first foray into English football. he had to do this. He finally made his debut for the side on the 28th of August 2018 in an EFL Cup defeat to Southampton. And then a few months after this, into the new year, he actually made his debut in FA Cup against West Brom. The issue was he wasn't making any appearances in the league. It was purely just the FA or League Cup. So if he wanted game time, he would have to go out alone, and that's exactly what he did. He was given this opportunity in the 2019-2020 season when he was sent out on loan to FC St Pauli in the German second division. And to be fair, for all intents and purposes, it went okay. He scored 7 goals in 26 league matches, and to pretty much establish himself as a solid member of the first team. Upon his return back to Brighton, Gyökeres actually scored his first ever goal for Brighton in a 4-0 win in the second round of EFL Cup against Portsmouth. What I found funny about this match was that Alexis McAllister actually scored his first ever goal for Brighton in this game. So McAllister and Gyökeres both scored their first ever goals for Brighton in this match. So pretty big deal, I'd say. Nevertheless, Gyökeres was still seen as a fringe player for Brighton, so another loan was set on the cards, this time to Swansea. And Swansea have been going through a period of transition since their relegation from the Premier League a few seasons before. Now, just to call it down the middle, this loan did not work out at all. Gyökeres failed to score in any of his 11 league matches for Swansea. He did actually score in his last match for the club, which was an FA Cup win against Stevenage, but he was recalled by Brighton because simply it just did not work out. Steve Cooper, who was actually Swansea head coach at the time, said, "I have to say he's a really good guy and there's a good player in there. I think it was a loan that came a bit later than everyone wanted. He had some bad luck picking up COVID on international duty too. He was happy here, but he wants to play more football, and we wish him well." It was a good call by Steve Cooper in that quote just then, because he stated that there was a good player in Viktor Gyökeres. It wasn't the right club. And it goes back to what I was saying before. Timing and opportunity, it just wasn't aligning. Swansea wasn't the right team for him to be at, and he had to find somewhere else to go out on loan to, because he couldn't just walk straight into the Brighton team. You can't do that. Not scoring in the Championship and then walk straight into a Premier League side. It don't work like that. So straight after this recall from Swansea, he was sent out to Coventry City. And this is where the game changed for Gyökeres. This is where he made a name for himself. Now, in the first season, he wasn't firing mad numbers on loan for Coventry. Led Coventry to sign the then 23-year-old striker for just over £1 million. In his first full season at Coventry, Gyökeres hit 18 goals in 47 matches. And the season after was even better. He had played every match of the following season in the Championship for Coventry, hitting 21 goals in 46 games, helping them to the playoffs by finishing 5th. He had twice been named EFL Championship Player of the Month, was in the PFA Team of the Year for the Championship of that season, and also was in the EFL Championship Team of the Season. He had literally cleared the board for accolades in that season individually, apart from the Player of the Season, of course. But part of me feels he would have traded that all away for Coventry to get promoted to the Premier League, because they narrowly missed out, unfortunately losing on penalties to Luton Town in the Championship playoff final. Now, not only was it unfortunate that Coventry lost the biggest match they had in the last 20 years, they were also stuck in an unfortunate position on having to sell one of their best players. I mean, missing out on the opportunity at £178 million to get into the Premier League from the playoffs is one thing. After losing the famed £200 million match, Coventry City were in the unfortunate position of having to sell one of their best players in the team. And it's safe to say that he was not short on any potential suitors. Teams such as Leeds, Wolves, Brentford, Burnley had all come knocking. But there was only one team that caught Gyökeres' eye, and that was Sporting CP. And this wasn't a joke signing for Sporting. Sporting actually signed Gyökeres on a club record deal of €20 million, with an additional €4 million in bonuses for him, not to mention a fat release clause at €100 million. They offered him a 5-year contract and slapped him straight into the first team to start business. And that's literally what he did this past August when he made his debut. He scored 2 goals in his debut in a 3-2 league victory against Vizela. Then he made another debut, this time in European competition in the Europa League, scoring in his debut. Again, this time against SK Sturm Graz. Now, I know some of you are going to probably question the team's legitimacy and pedigree because you might not have heard of them. This doesn't change the fact he was signed to the team to score goals, and this is what he's been doing, scoring goals. So much to the fact that now, at the time of this recording, at this point in the season, Viktor Gyökeres has 32 goal contributions in 26 matches. with 22 of them being goals. That's a goal every 96 matches. And I know what some of you may be thinking, oh, he's doing it in the Portuguese league. It's not a famed league. It's an easy league to score goals in. I mean, look at Hulk, look at Falcao, look at Darwin Núñez. They all had fun in the Portuguese league. I could have fun in the Portuguese league. I could score a hat-trick against Firenze. No, it's not that simple, guys. Gyökeres has done the work. He's one of the first selected in the Swedish national team and is now linked to some of the absolute biggest teams in world football today. I understand it's a bit weird throwing out a massive moniker in the next ZLATAN IBRAHIMOVIC for a player who hasn't really been known in the foray of European football for so long. However, that's what makes this tale so inspirational. A player who virtually went from massive obscurity to being shot into world football fame, and now is being sought after, as I said, by some of the biggest teams in the sport today. He's 25 now and has years of development ahead of him to hit his prime, but it's safe to say if he continues the way he has been going, there's a good chance that Viktor Gyökeres turns into a world superstar. If you've seen the matches Viktor Gyökeres has played for Sporting in this season, you'll be absolutely blown away just at how he's able to take games and just dominate the front line. He has the skill of a silky winger and he has the potency of a deadly finisher. These are basically the attributes you assume with some of the greatest to ever do it. When I think of what I've just said in regards to silky skills and the ability to finish, I think about Cristiano Ronaldo. I know that everyone's titling Gyökeres as the next ZLATAN IBRAHIMOVIC, but his frame and his build is so similar to Cristiano Ronaldo. And I don't want you to think that I'm saying he's going to be the next Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm not saying that. Please do not quote me on that. I'm just saying that he's 6'2", Cristiano Ronaldo 6'2", Gyökeres is quick. Not as quick as Ronaldo, but in terms of the ability to have the ball at his feet, to make things happen, to lead the front line, to score goals at his whim, to dominate games against any team. I know the level hasn't been extremely high, but he's doing it. He's doing what he's set out to do, and that's score goals. Doing it in Coventry ain't easy. In the Championship, you're playing Tuesday, Saturday, every flipping week, and he played every single game. He went from that to then jump into the Portuguese league, and now he's ripping up over there. I'm just saying, if Viktor Gyökeres continues the way he's going right now, there's a good chance that we have the next superstar in world football on our midst, and all the praise and all the rave reviews and all the scout reports for this guy, it'll be well justified. And that's something no one could dispute on. And that's for real.